boy Ambassador again doing his thing as usual. I just come with some videos where I'm telling you guys what I think about it, and I'm asking you guys to please in the comment section give me your opinions about these things too. I just want people to listen, form an opinion, think about it, and then let's engage. And also, I said I will be bringing some people out here, which when I call their names, I want you guys to search them, look at what they talk about, because the more you watch these guys, the more you're going to have a more informed slash. These are guys worth listening to, and they have a certain philosophy in life which I adhere to or I support. So I'll be calling their names out here. Those I don't know much about or I don't agree with them, I might not call their names. So this is another one of those guys. Vusi Timbakwa is a South African businessman, also has very strong opinions when it comes to politics. But this time, but what he's most known for is public speaking and entrepreneurship. Those two things. And for those who know what management is about, the strongest skill of every manager is communication. And being a public speaker just makes him a unique and superb manager slash entrepreneur.
I've taken a lot of criticism on social media for it, but my view is if you need funding to be an entrepreneur, odds are you're not an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs make it work. When I started, I did one thing to pay for the other thing to pay for the other thing so that I could do eventually the thing I want to do. Denzel Washington says, you do what you have to do so you can do what you want to do.
Yeah.
If you need money to start, don't start. Because there are going to be times in your business when there's nobody there to give you money. Money is an important growth factor. When you need to move from 1 to 10, you need money. But to go from 0 to 1, you don't. So not everybody wants instant wealth.
Because nobody understands the practical tools of actually building
100%.
those organizations.
You come into my business, I can tell you every single moving part because I built it.
Yeah.
Yesterday, we got an approach from a young lady who was looking to raise 5 million rand to buy a chicken farm. So I went back to her and I said, what proof have you got of the financial track record of that business? 1, 2, and have you ever run a farm of any type? The answer was no. So this is what I said to her. I said to her, I will give you 50,000 rand to go and buy eggs at a Pick n Pay. Take those eggs and find people standing in street corners and sell those eggs at a batch of half a dozen each. That's 6 each. So at a batch of half a dozen each, you can probably take that 50,000 to 75.
Yeah.
You will do this cycle iteratively until you move it from 50,000 rand to 500,000. Once you've proven to me you can retail eggs, then I might think about getting you into a supply relationship with somebody who creates the eggs so you can buy at a lower cost and keep retailing. Let's start you first on the front end. Once you've gotten to 1, maybe 2 million retailing eggs, knowing who the customers are that buy the eggs, then I might think about buying you a chicken farm, because by the time you have the chickens and they give you the eggs, you now understand how the entire cycle works. But I'm not going to give you 3 million rand to buy a farm and buildings and put eggs in it and chickens and then sit and wait for some
And then what about people that are...
He starts by saying that African reality is, if you're an African entrepreneur, you still need capital to start being another entrepreneur. Because first, if you look at our context in Africa, we don't have that banking system, the banking system that facilitates credit. So what are you counting on when you're hoping to start only when you have loans? Secondly, we don't have those rich families that can give us a trust fund, most of us. So if that's what you're counting on, you need to be part of the 1% to have that hope. Thirdly, he said there is a unique entrepreneurial journey in Africa where you can use the means you have to start building the capital. You need capital to grow fast, but you don't need capital to start. So you can always break down whatever business model you have to the smallest possible unit which can generate income. So you start using that income to start building your startup. If that makes sense. That's the African reality. So as an African, you need to think about how can I start making money from whatever skills you have and then start building your startup. You need money or capital to grow fast. I emphasize on that. You can still grow without having large capital. It will be slow. If you want to grow fast, you need capital. But you don't need capital to start. If you need capital to start, then it means you have not understood your business to the point where you can identify a smaller segment of the business model. Start with it, start generating income and then invest. And then build your startup and then get funding later on. Lastly, you guys now talk about the African system. Our schools should start teaching African case studies like this guy. Vusi Timbakwa should be in every business book for Africans. There should be a chapter on Vusi Timbakwa where we highlight his policies and things. But instead we'll be talking about Maslow, we'll be talking about, I've forgotten all those case studies we did in the Boston metrics and those things we did in business school, which there's no place called Boston in Africa. No, There was no African economist called Maslow. So we should start studying our own case studies. One will help us to contextualize those theories we are studying. Two will help us to valorize our own. When we are first, the books we are using are not written by Africans, hence why the case studies were not African, because they were not for Africans. But that's what we still use in our business schools. The guys like Vusi Timbakwayo should be in all of those books. You should actually use his philosophy to push certain pro-African messages in business school. So that's just me talking about the African system and how it can be fixed. As usual, I tell you guys, I will be talking about these things. Engage with me in the comment section. It's your boy Ambassador. I'm out.
Just my opinion.